But let's now move on as we're going to do each and every week here through the remainder of the season. Let's look at the fresh off the plate, off the grill, college football playoff rankings. And we will start here at 25, Cincinnati, 24, South Florida, 23, Tennessee, 22, Pitt, 21, Iowa, with that close loss this weekend. Louisville at 20, Virginia 19, Michigan moves up to 18, USC 17, Georgia Tech 16, Miami 15, Vanderbilt 14, Utah at 13 for the Utes.
Did you say Utes?
Utes.
BYU falls to 12, Oklahoma 11, and your top 10 this week: Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, and your top 5 unchanged from a week ago: Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. Anything in this? We'll get to the bracket in a second. But anything in the top 25 that's surprising for the good, surprising for the bad?
Well, I mean, as much as I hate it as a Notre Dame fan, I know they're your second team. I guess it's always good to see Michigan rising up, especially after some of the years they've had here lately. It's not good for me. It's good for college football, though. So I like to see them kind of sticking it good. And USF Bulls.
Better than us. Nobody.
And right here in sunny St. Pete, in the Sunshine State, the USF Bulls, good to see them getting some love. They had a few stumbling blocks. They were red hot out of the gate, had a few stumbling blocks, but they've been playing some pretty good football against some decent teams. So it's good to see them getting some respect. I think a lot of times the smaller schools down here get overlooked. So I like that. And I guess my one other, I don't see a ton else. I mean, Iowa, I had no idea Iowa would end up here at this point in the season. That's
yeah. Sure. I mean, 20 a week ago, they have a close loss to Oregon, and only fall one spot. And I don't know if it's just because there's not a lot around them to come up and bump them out. I know student of the game Kyle Nash would love to chime in about good losses and overranking Iowa. But I mean, they put up a fight against Oregon. I don't know if that says more.
I mean, it's hard to really punish them. I mean, unless one of those other teams below them did something great, there's not much you're going to do. But I've noticed Texas just keeps creeping.
Yeah, they're hanging around. I think it
does set up a pretty fun matchup this weekend, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll certainly talk about that. I think that's a bit of Arch Manning syndrome. To a degree with Texas's ranking. I still don't necessarily believe in them. I don't necessarily believe in a couple of the SEC teams that are creeping around in that top 15, top 20. But yeah, I don't think there's a ton of surprising stuff. Texas Tech getting the win, they creep up closer to the top 5. Should BYU have fallen further? I don't know. They got beat pretty handily.
It was not close.
No. So certainly could have moved them a little further down. But again, you're starting to talk about 2 lost teams versus 1 lost teams. I know there's a lot of opinions about a 2-loss team that's in the top 9 right now. But again, and the thing I always want to stress, and we'll look at the bracket here in a second. These are not the final rankings, folks, because
not even close.
Because last week, again, BYU and Texas Tech were 7 and 8. They are 6 and 12 this week. Georgia's 5 and Texas is 10 right now. They play each other. Alabama is 4 and 11 right now. They play each other. So these are USC and Iowa. They are 17 and 21. They play each other. So there's going to be movement. There's going to continue to be movement. There's 3+ weeks left in this regular season. So we still have a road to get there. It's fun to talk about things, but so much noise was made by Texas and Texas fans and Miami fans about where they were, where Notre Dame is. And when you look at the bracket for this week, all of that noise, guess what, Texas? You'd be in today. Guess what, Miami? You'd be in today.
You'd be in. Yeah.
You're lower than Notre Dame, right? But some could argue, maybe in the case of Texas,
what happened there? Miami caught Virginia. Was that the issue last week?
Yeah, because Virginia lost.
Right.
and so I think they would have an additional, and then they're ranked lower than Miami. So Miami is the front runner. Now, again, they would have to win the ACC to actually crack the spot. But
Right.
for this week, they're the higher ranked. So they're there. So, yeah, looking at the bracket, your first round buys, they are unchanged from a week ago. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Alabama would have your first round buys. And then your opening round matchups would be the number 5 seed Georgia. They would take on the 12 seed because they would be the highest ranked other conference champion at this point, South Florida. Your 8-9 matchup would be Notre Dame traveling to Oregon. Your 6-11 matchup would be Miami traveling to Texas Tech. And then your 7-10 matchup would be Texas traveling to Ole Miss. So looking at this,
No McConaughey on that. We're not gonna get all right.
Oh yeah, I guess he's here. He's lingering
He's
around.
around.
All right.
There he is. We're gonna give Miami. We better.
Well, and who has a first round bye?
Alabama.
All right, thank you.
Do.
So looking at these opening round matchups, Sean, what sticks out to you as the best? What sticks out to you as the potential worst?
Well, I mean, if USF wanted to test, that'd be one heck of a test there. I think the intriguing thing here, I mean, Texas Ole Miss, you get an SEC game. I don't know that Notre Dame Oregon is that compelling or appealing from like a national perspective necessarily, other than the fact that it's Notre Dame. I think your first round's hurting a little bit in this particular one. I mean, there'll be some fun games. Like I think Miami, Texas Tech would be real fun. But I think what would be more – there they are. Thanks, D-Bob. But if this were the lineup, if this were the card, I think the appealing matchups come in the second round.
Sure.
Because you have an opportunity for Georgia, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
You have an opportunity for, Oregon or Notre Dame.
Alabama.
At the Horseshoe would be.
Well, so the second round is the beginning of bowl games. So those are neutral.
Okay, so it's not but either way, those
playing Ohio State, right?
Playing Ohio State is a big one. If Texas Tech would win, it would set up a in Texas rivalry there, A&M and Texas Tech, and then somebody has to play Indiana. So that doesn't really super work out there. But I think Indiana's appealing either way, just because people are either going to want to see if they don't belong or if
they're the kind of the Cinderella,
right? But yeah, I mean it's. I think there's some signature matchups that could be made there and some big playoff moments that could be created. So it wouldn't be terrible. I just think your first round would kind of be like, let's watch some playoff football and then like see who gets the great draws. I think that would kind of be where it would sit in this one.
Yeah, it doesn't quite seem to have some of the flash that I think we saw with what would have been the matchups from last week's.
But I have faith in the committee that if it were they tend to jostle some positions, and you're like, why is that team lower than this? Oh, for the matchup, right? Like,
sure,
they will play with it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, but the wild thing is, I think right now, the rankings are about as right as you can get them at this point. I know there will be some that will argue maybe Texas A&M should be above Indiana. There's some. Lane Kiffin included, that are making the argument that Texas A&M should be the number 1 team in the country,
and I think they have a lot of things that I'm believing. I don't know. I listen to that argument and I find it real hard to like argue back.
Well, and they have out of Indiana, Ohio State, and Texas A&M. Texas A&M has the best win.
Yeah.
Period.
And I believe the hardest schedule. I have to double check that. I was looking at the list. I know Indiana's not very high on
Ohio State schedules.
And Ohio State doesn't have much else, No,
I mean, Ohio State schedule's being bolstered a bit by the fact they beat Texas in week 1 when Texas was ranked 1. But we've come to learn that number 1 is a bit fraudulent. And
now they're number 10 though. I mean, that's not.
They are, but again, as things move and shift, and not to foreshadow my prediction, I don't think it's going to be a close one this weekend. And I think Texas is going to get exposed again this weekend, which would then kind of hurt Ohio State's strength of schedule a bit there as well.
Right.
But I think what we're seeing is as long as Ohio State doesn't give the committee a reason to knock them, the defending national champions who are undefeated are going to remain in that spot.
Yeah, most likely. I don't see any situation at this if it hasn't moved at this point.
No.
I'm not so sure it's going. I mean, it would take obviously a loss would do it, but I mean, it would have to take a pretty narrow escape against a team they have no business needing one to consider that.
Sure.
But
yeah. I don't think there's anything super egregious, and I think it's because of how chaotic this season has been. Because do I actually think that Alabama is the fourth best team in college football? I don't know. But the problem is they've beaten Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
They have a bad loss to Florida State. But there's a lot of teams with a bad loss or two bad losses. And while I don't think they're the fourth best team, I guess it's kind of hard to argue with it.
Yeah, the resume kind of says they are. I mean, there's not much else to compare it to. There's obviously part of me that wishes Notre Dame was higher, but again, you did lose 2 games. You lost to Miami. You lost to Texas A&M. I get it's by 4 points. I get it's the beginning of the year, but you still lost. So the point of the matter is, and I've said it on this show, I've said it to anyone who still listens to me talk about sports not on this show. Getting fewer and farther between every year.
It does happen. But the bottom line is, and I even said it to Notre Dame fans because everybody's been, I'm worried about it. Miami lost again and it's hurting our schedule. Look, first ranking came out, we were 11th. Second ranking came out, or 10th. The second ranking came out, we're 9th. The committee recognizes what Notre Dame is and what they've been doing this year despite those losses. If they win out, they will be in. If they lose one of their remaining games, they will be out. That's
that's
simple.
it now.
It's
There's no way to
for
design where you're going to be.
No.
But I mean, you knew after 2 losses that you had your work cut out for you, and you might not get there. But you couldn't be like, well, we deserve to be like 4th. Like, you knew darn well that you were going to be lucky to get in, and now they're here, and now you just try to do what you can with it, I guess.
Yeah, just try to keep winning. You have 3 games left, probably the hardest of the 3 coming up this week. We'll talk about it in just a second. But yeah, it's a snapshot of where we are right now, and at least this week, because last week it wasn't the case. We saw the committee have to go beyond 25 to get that 12 seed in. This year, this week, South Florida at least ranked 24th in the country. You have a ranked team in that last spot. One interesting tidbit that I saw people point out as some of these top teams in the ACC have continued to get picked off. Virginia lost this week. Georgia Tech had lost. There is a scenario, Sean, and I didn't even realize this myself, where it's not necessarily like the 4 Power 4 teams and then the best of the group of 5. It's the 5 highest ranked conference champions. So say the ACC starts knocking,
if they fall below 2 other conferences.
Correct. You could have a Conference USA and an American Conference champion over an ACC. So that's an interesting tidbit that I wasn't aware of, and that's
oh wow. So the Big 4 aren't locked in.
The Big 4 are not locked in. It is just the 5 highest ranked. So I actually like that.
That makes it way more exciting,
because that was always my fear, is you were going to have again, hypothetically, I keep throwing the same conference under the bus. Like, this one's for you, Kyle. The ACC. That you were going to have an ACC team that fell so far down, but automatically got locked in because they were a conference champion, and that's not necessarily the case. But anything else bracket wise for this week, Sean?
No. I think we touched on it pretty good there. Let's close it out.
There we go. And again, that is a snapshot of where we are. This is the second of the college football playoff brackets. We will have at least 3 or 4 more before the final one after conference championship weekend. So get as mad as you want about them. It'll be completely different next week. That's always my best
Sure will.
advice. But